Well, we will get started then with your podium here for TAT for Trans Am presented by Pirelli. Thomas Annunziata, your victor here today. Connor Zilich in P2, Jade Buford in P3. Thomas, we'll start with you. It looked like this was a day of just keeping things together and keeping everything on the straight and narrow, and that allowed you to be able to take the victory here on that last restart.
Yeah, I mean, it's a street course, so as long as you finish, you're gonna get a good position. And we were at a lot of guys there where I think I was behind Rafa in the first couple laps, and we were putting pressure on him, and he made a mistake and ended up crashing out. But same with Merrill, so we picked a few guys off there. But after that, we weren't very good on long runs, so we kind of just stayed in the same spot and stalled out. But they threw a green with 2 laps to go, so all the gloves were off.
Well, in terms of that, I mean, when you're coming around on that restart, what was your mentality going into the restart, coming down into 3? Was it absolutely go for it at that point, or were you holding back a little bit? How was your mindset?
Well, I wanted to stay close, but if anything happened, I wanted to avoid it, obviously. But there's really nowhere to go in that situation. It's so tight and everyone's blocking down low. You kind of just get all stacked up. So we got lucky that everything opened up for us there, and we took the win.
Took the win indeed. Connor, you proving here that it is possible to overtake on a street circuit, starting in dead last, moving your way up through the order. Talk about your day, because it was a crazy run.
Yeah, wild to say the least. Just a lot of hard work and patience in the race. Obviously, yesterday I was leading and we were really fast. Caution came out, and we had an incident on the restart that put us to the tail and didn't allow us to finish the first race. So we came back today, had to start last, and patience was going to be key. And I think some of the guys that finished in the top 10 ran outside the top 15 all day. So that just shows you what the attrition was and what it took to run up front. So kept myself out of incidents, and I feel like I honestly didn't pass that many cars today. Just avoiding incidents and keeping it on the track was the main thing. So just proud for myself and proud for our entire team, Silver Hair Racing, to get the podium that we deserve this weekend. We've had a rough weekend with a really fast car, and those always sting the most. So just thankful that I was able to end up here and be on the podium to end the weekend.
Well, talk to me about how you have to prepare coming into a race like this where you know you're in the back of the field. You know attrition's going to play a factor, but you didn't look like you were holding back all that much on some of the passes. You were throwing some good moves out there.
Yeah, you got to be passively aggressive. So just without making any silly or dumb moves, just claw your way through the field, and one at a time. The race is 60 minutes long, so you pass one car every 2 laps and you're going to be at the front. So just had to stay patient and not rush any of the passes. That's kind of been tough for me, and especially a mindset coming in, starting at the back. You feel like you got to pass guys as soon as you catch them, and that's not the case. You can take your time and really just let attrition do the work. So that's kind of what I came in with, that mindset of just being patient, and we were able to come out with the win. So not the win. I didn't win. Why did I say that? I'm on autopilot right now. So we're able to come out with second, but still just a great result for the team. So looking forward to the next race.
Indeed, Jade, I want to go to you here. It looked like for you it was a pretty quiet race, that you were just kind of putting in the paces there and taking advantage of opportunities when they came to you. How was it behind the wheel?
Yeah, we've had some struggles this weekend with some just weird stuff going on in our car. But thankfully my team worked very, very hard all weekend, finally had a solid piece underneath me, so we just knew we needed to run a smart race. We were basically starting from scratch on this last race with everything else that we did over the weekend basically went out the window, and we had to start all over. So we weren't quite where we wanted to be in the race, but we were better than we've been all weekend, so we just knew we needed to run a smart race and hopefully get our Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers Ford Mustang as close to the front as we could.
Well, and talk to me about how you as a driver have to come in. If you're coming in on a blank slate like that, you said you're running a smart race, but do you have to change your natural style in order to be running, as you said, sort of a new slate here to be able to get that going?
Not at times, yes. But today, what we ran today was better than what we ran yesterday. So it actually allowed me to just actually go race, and when opportunities presented themselves, take advantage of them. Where yesterday it's a little different story.
Well, and then I want all three of you guys to answer this as well. Thomas, we'll start out with you. Not only attrition, but we heard a lot of talk here about components and tires and keeping track of all of that. How difficult was that around this circuit?
Yeah, it's pretty difficult. I wouldn't say the tires itself fell off. I think the track started to get greasy there at the end, or at least that's how I felt. But the braking was the biggest part. Taking care of the brakes throughout the whole race was a huge part of finishing the race, and we took care of them good enough to finish the race. I was out of them at the end, but I mean that was one of the main keys to finishing up front. Just got to keep the brakes on.
Connor, what about you?
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way about it. Brakes were the biggest key factor in saving. So you go down and end of the back straightaway, braking 100 feet early to try and use less pressure and just lengthen out the brake zones with less pressure to try and save the brakes. Obviously, they get really hot. You run in traffic starting at the back. It doesn't help the case. So I had to really put focus towards it, especially coming through the field. Every pass you make, you have to try and brake later than the guy in front of you. So it's putting a lot of pressure on the brakes, and on the street courses there's no airflow to get to the brakes, so you're not cooling them as well as you would at an open track. So definitely a lot of thought, and I feel like I did really good at that coming through the field. It's tough to save brakes, but I was able to keep it underneath me, and I felt like I had a lot more than the cars around me on that last restart, and that kind of helped me get up through the field a little more. So just I think brakes were the biggest part of saving here. Tires didn't fall off too bad. You just couldn't slip them too much and make them upset.
Jade, same thing for you, or notice anything different?
Yeah, I would basically repeat what they said. Brakes were definitely my biggest concern coming here, and I feel like our team did a really good job making sure our brakes would be able to go the distance and take a good bit of abuse. But certainly, whenever you're around other cars, trying to stay out of dirty air, just making sure they get some air going to them, and then using them when you need them and try to make it count, and then let them cool back down.
It seems like that was the way to go. Anyone have any questions from the house here that we are open to?
Jade, you've done. Thanks. Jade, you've done most every major motorsports event in North America. I'm just curious your thoughts of this layout with Detroit, what you've seen as far as the fan experience and access, and how it compares to other events you've been to.
Yeah. So overall, it's been pretty impressive with seeing like all how everything's been run, the ease of getting into the track, the way everything's kind of laid out. I think there'll be room for improvement if they do it again for next year. But I know how difficult it can be being close to like the Nashville Grand Prix, which I think has really been fine-tuned to be a very smooth operating machine. And first impressions it's been good. The track itself, I think they'll keep improving. You have to, we learned with Nashville, you got to run on it first to see what you need to fix. So I think they make some improvements, and I think if they continue on with it, it'll be a better show in the future. It'll just get better.
Connor, you came into this race weekend really tight in the points. I mean, the top three were tight. I mean, halfway through this race, you were at the back end, and you saw Thomas and Brent up at the top. I mean, are you running all these scenarios like, I got to get my butt up there, it's going to be a long season?
Yeah, that's kind of one thing that you think about is the championship battle, and it's tough to come into the race knowing you're starting in last when your three championship rivals just all three finished on the podium in the first race, and I'm running 5th, 6th, 7th there, and they're running 1, 2, 3 again. So it's definitely tough to keep that mindset away, and I was able to just kind of stay calm and know that I can only do what's in my control, and whatever they do is out of my control. So just have the best race that I could was the main thing. So it's definitely tough to not let that get to your head, but as a racing driver, it's a lot more mental than people see. So I've been working on that hard myself. Last year I struggled with it, getting in my own head, and even yesterday, same thing happened. I got in my own head, and I took what was going to be a decent finish and threw it in the trash. So coming into today, I just had to have a calm, clean mindset, and not really worry about other people were doing, just focus on my own race.
with Detroit's rich history of muscle cars, does this win feel a little more special considering this is a muscle car event?
Yeah, it does, and it was a big event in general. You had IndyCar here. You had that was part of it. The whole event was just a lot bigger than a lot of the other events. So it definitely feels a lot more special to win here, and especially as my first win on such a big stage. This was really cool.
It's your first pro win, right?
Yeah,
Congrats.
appreciate it.
Good stuff. Anybody else have any questions? All right. Thank you guys so much, and congratulations again to our podium.